Hello and welcome to the LFC Agenda. We're here for another World Cup edition. I'm your host for this episode, Mr. Samage, and I'll be joined by Mr. Drew and JSS. Good afternoon, gents. How we doing, Mr. Drew?
Good afternoon, evening. Anything after 5 o'clock, I classify as evening, but I'll accept your greeting.
Okay.
And it's great to see. Thanks for having me.
That's all right. We thought, you know what, we didn't want the audience to get confused and think you've been relegated. So I thought I'll bring you back on for an episode.
You are the World Cup maestro, so over to you, sir.
Hey, that's what they're saying. That's what they're saying. And joining us as well, JSS. Good evening. How are we doing?
Yes, guten Tag, guten Abend. Yeah, I'm doing well. I'm actually kind of really getting the swing of things now with football. I'm watching like 3 matches a day now, just like churning it.
Yeah. We're gonna get onto it. It almost feels weird that today there's only one game and it's 8 o'clock, isn't it? The South Africa and Canada game. So we've gotten so used to.
It depends how you look at it, because at midnight, even though it's a new day, it's still the same.
Oh, so you're ready. So you've watched 4 games today.
Well, I mean, I watched the Colombia Portugal.
Yeah, Colombia Portugal. Yeah.
I watched the England game.
For a 0-0 that's one of the best 0-0s I've watched.
Brilliant. I've also watched the England game last night, and then I watched the first half of Argentina, because I went to bed because I just thought, well, if Messi's not playing,
yeah,
you are hardcore.
You know,
you are hardcore. You did exactly the same thing as my sister, because I messaged her because she's got the same problem as me, not knowing how to regulate sleep properly during this World Cup. I said, just go to bed. This is after the second set of fixtures. I said, Messi's on the bench, go to bed. And I woke up and I messaged her, Messi breaks another record. She's like, I watched the first half.
You know how annoying it is to wake up in the morning and look at your phone and see you've missed the whole night of like history making the World Cup. This is ridiculous.
This is what is making me suffer, and I'm really struggling with it. And I'm pretty sure we'll get into more detail. But knockouts, I'm really worried I'm going to miss so much football.
And we're going to talk about. It's funny you mentioned that the Argentina. Obviously, so I watched the Colombia Portugal game, and I did fall asleep. But the TV was on, and I think the Argentina game was watching me more than the other way. When they scored the penalty, because I woke up, the crowd noise, I said, I'm calling this. It was about 15, 20 minutes in. But we also missed the cracking Austria and Algeria game, apparently. Which finished 3-3, 89th minute, 96th minute. So maybe...
I think I'm going to be watching back this World Cup on YouTube.
Yeah.
It's like, do I want to put energy into being fresh from my job and raising my 3 kids, or do I want to watch football matches? I'll be honest, it's a tough call.
It's a tough call, but
I mean, thank God for the BBC iPlayer that you've got
the
8-minute highlight.
Yeah.
So you've got to do that, but there's something like watching it live. You know what? You want to say, where were you when Messi broke this record, that record, that kind of thing, you know? But yeah, we are where we are. But knockout, I'm sorry.
This one, we're going to come onto the schedule. I've got the wall chart, old school, everything, and we're going to plot through, not match by match, but we're going to do quarter by quarter and see where we think.
He's got his Panini sticker book. Let's go.
I expect no less.
Yes, perfect. Well, welcome all. We will be talking all things World Cup now that the group stages have finished. And we'll be looking forward to the next 2 rounds of the knockout. So we'll be looking at the last 32 and the last 16. As well as a few words on some of the off-the-field things that have been happening over in North America, as well as some very key and embarrassing exits. I think some of the teams, this World Cup was the World Cup of expansion, but still the majority of teams actually went through. So if you somehow found a way to still not get through, you're gonna be spoken about. So we'll be also diving into England and Thomas Tuchel, where we think England are now, having watched them 3 games, and obviously now that we know the path as well, what the potential stumble blocks as well as their defensive options. We're gonna have to talk about Trent, and you guys know it's not my favorite subject, but we are gonna have to talk about the right back position, and he's invariably part of that discussion. So I'll be touching on that, and we'll also touch on all things Liverpool, some new coaching additions, a few more transfer rumors, and a few things on some of the players as well. So I think we should get straight into it. So the World Cup now, which it's been a festival of football. In the last episode, we discussed how the first couple of days were really slow, but I think everything since then has just been bam, 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 football. having to make those very tough decisions on whether you're staying up for anything that's after a 12 o'clock kickoff, or like some of us where you're watching the France game and it ends up being a 1 o'clock finish anyway because of a 2-hour weather delay. Some of the minnows and the games you're not expecting to be good, being good, etc. So we're going to touch on all of that. So let's get straight into it. The group stages have now finished. We now have our World Cup bracket, and we now know the 32 teams that will be contesting to win the World Cup. But I want to talk about what some of our favorite memories. Well, it's weird to talk about in the past tense because, like JSS said, those games are technically today, but our memories from what has been a ridiculous amount of football when you really think about it. We saw 72 games, and all the previous last couple of World Cups, they only had 64. So we've already seen more games than the last couple editions of the World Cup. So, Mr. Drew, tell me about some of your highlights from the group stages.
From the group stages, I mean, look, let's take the low-hanging fruit first. And given I wasn't on the last podcast, Messi. I've got to say, a 39-year-old doing the things he's doing and having cleared all the career hurdles he has so far and still showing improving, is still being hungry to break records. Just phenomenal to see. And I always say this debate between Ronaldo and Messi, who's the greatest, I've always thought is a silly one for a long time. And the debate between Maradona, you then talk about Maradona and Messi, I think is equally silly. You know, by any given metric, when you put on paper what the players achieve in terms of trophies, goals, appearances, assists, longevity, number of moments he's had over the course of it. I can't look back at Messi's career and be like, oh yeah, I remember that time he went through a bit of a dry spell. I remember that time he had a bit of a coke addiction. Like there's no blemish on his career, and for me, he's far away the best. So obviously, 3 games, 7 consecutive appearances where he's scored in World Cup matches, and he's the guy. Cape Verde, I think, have been for me a breath of fresh air, just in terms of the way they've gone about it. And they drew Spain, right? I'm not mixing them up. Yeah. So that set the tone for me, and then from there, they were just bold. They just enjoyed it. The fans enjoyed it. I love the interaction of the fans in this tournament. We've seen it with the Norway crew and their celebration.
The rowing. I've seen it on New York subways, on escalators, in the stadium, everywhere.
I'm thinking of doing that in my work meetings, but let's see. And the reason I mention that is because Cape Verde, who I was talking about originally, I think they just got so much joy. They brought so much joy to the World Cup. So it's really all about the fans. All the stuff that we spoke about in the background that may end up spoiling things with regards to how FIFA have conducted themselves and how the US administration have made things difficult. Always going to leave a bit of taste in the mouth, but I think the fans have come through. That for me has been the greatest thing.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you very much. Shout out to all our YouTube watchers. Please share the link with those. We've got a couple on already, but people are really keen. I guess because there's a gap, there's no football on, so got to watch something. And if you're listening to us on whatever podcast platform you're on, don't forget to like and subscribe and share and give us a 5-star rating as well. JSS, talk to me about your favorite bits and your, favorite players, best teams and stuff from the group stages as well.
My favorite bits have always been the smaller teams. When I say smaller teams, I say less favored nation. Let's call them that way. You don't want to disrespect anybody, considering what we're going to talk about later. So yeah, obviously there you have Cape Verde and them getting through to the fight to get the next second round was amazing. I like seeing Canada get their first point and then them qualifying through. DRC, same thing. Yesterday they were amazing. So yeah, just see, and for them it's like even something like Haaland, him just scoring the goal. He was going and if you think all of what he won in his career, him scoring they didn't even win the match. Just scoring the goal, like breaking down crying. It's just amazing. It just shows you that football is more than just the sport for these guys. So that whole thing, and in terms of players, well, obviously Messi's like we take his greatness for granted. I see what Drew is saying, because I'm not pushing back on it in terms of on principle, but I would say that, when we talk about Maradona, yeah, I'd say Messi is much more consistent. But I think this is what I always have a problem with eras, because it's like what Maradona had to go through, because he never played. Maradona had never played in his whole, apart from his at Boca Juniors, had never played in a great team. He was never surrounded by great players, whether at club level or when he's playing in Serie A, he's up against the Three Dutchmen. He's up against the Three Germans, even Lothar Matthäus, Klinsmann, and Bremer, Inter, and he still managed to overcome that. He also won the UEFA Cup back in 1989. Was a big deal. It's not like what it is now.
Absolutely.
So there's that. So yeah, of course, he was very not. He obviously he's self-destructed. Of course, I'm not going to pretend that way. So, but I would say that it's not a silly to compare. And also, what Maradona has, quote unquote, because of his persona, he had that kind of like Robin Hood kind of thing to the people. He was more, the streets love him more than the level love Messi. Do you know what I mean? Because that's I think he's more representative of the people. So these are probably like intangibles. Like, you have your cult heroes, right? And he got that cult following. So I think it's very easy to dismiss Maradona because we never scrutinized him as thoroughly as we scrutinized players in the 21st century. So that would be my pushback, if you know what I mean. But I still agree, Messi's clear.
And also, put it this way, that's definitely, either way, in about 3 weeks' time, when we do the episode after the final, there's going to be a discussion, either because there's a world, especially the way the draw is, where Argentina are in that final and Messi carries them to second consecutive World Cup. There's a world where Mbappe wins his second World Cup. So some of these discussions will be really great. And when that Mount Rushmore discussions of four faces, it's always been, Maradona and Pele, absolute, undisputables. And we've had, Messi and Ronaldo. But has Messi then gone really clear of Ronaldo? And then, like you say, he's then on that top table with Pele, Maradona, and some of these other names. So that'll be a really interesting discussion. But like we're saying, he's setting, at his age to still be setting records. 7 games scored in a row in a World Cup. No one's ever done that. He obviously now has the outright record for goals scored at a World Cup for now, because I think Mbappe will get the next one. But that is still, that the Miroslav Klose's record stood for quite a while, so I think it's definitely something to be lauded. He's playing in his 6th World Cup as well. I know Ronaldo and Ochoa, which is a great reception he got coming on. They've also played in their 6th World Cup, so that can't be underestimated as well. It's just, when we talk about Messi, the superlatives, quite literally, they just keep coming because of just what he brings to the game. So I think definitely a lot to be discussed about Messi. And I think Argentina versus Cape Verde, I'm looking at it thinking either it's going to be a Messi masterclass or we're going to see one of the biggest shocks in World Cup history. And I'm not sure which one I want more, but we'll come to that when we look at the brackets. And for me, I agree with both, Jones, what you're saying about them. We won't call them minnows because they're not minnows. They're not just qualified to get to the World Cup. And actually, those that have qualified outside of Europe and South America have gone through a harder task. We're talking about Congo, who had to go through their group, they had to then go to a playoff. They had to beat Jamaica. They had to, that was only in March. And I think that, I think the expansion, which we're going to talk about in a second, it has worked with lots of debutants. We've not had the drubbings that we thought every game would be. There've been drubbings, but Germany also beat Brazil 7-1. So, Curacao losing 7-1 to them in their first World Cup.
Sweden 5-1.
That doesn't mean that it's not work. And look at Sweden went 1-5-1, lost 5-1, and all of these kind of things. So you're always going to get those kind of results at a World Cup. So I don't think it's quote unquote diluted the quality. There have been a couple of really, really bad teams, but that happens all the time. So I'm with you. But I think definitely Messi's performance and him coming off the bench as well. A couple of us probably went to bed thinking, well, we're not going to see Messi. They've gone up. Argentina, they're going to be fine. He comes on and then you see it the next day, the free kick and all this kind of stuff. So I think.
And
Messi's
you know what?
Definitely up
There's
there.
more to come from him as well.
I think
Haaland must have been pissed off because Norway lost 4-1 to France and they benched him, and that's gonna. He's probably has one match left. It could only have one match left, and that's going to spoil his chances. They played
when Norway
France.
played France. So the Norwegian coach made 10 changes. In the bracket, I've got it up, don't you worry. And they got Cote d'Ivoire next. And they're in the same quarter as Brazil,
Yeah,
Japan.
that's 50-50.
Okay. Yeah.
Pretty sure he would have wanted to play every game, at least, you know.
He would have. But actually, this is one of the things with the format changes that I wanted to talk about and get your views on. As the week has progressed, because of how many games are and how long it's taken to get through all of their games, we've had this thing of, the format, there's not been a lot of games with jeopardy because the majority are going through. And when you then have the Norwegian coach making 10 changes against, essentially saying, look, we came to this tournament, we wanted to finish second, and we know we're not going to beat France, so we're going to make changes. What are your views on the expanded format and basically the majority of the teams going through? You know, eight groups, three teams went through from 8 groups. So what are your thoughts on whether the format has worked in trying to keep a bit of jeopardy, but also allowing teams to go and actually try and win every game? Drew, what are your thoughts on that?
So first of all, there's too many teams in this tournament, and they want to add more teams. Going forward, right?
We'll go to 64 for
the format. I actually don't mind if you got 48 teams in it. I actually don't mind the idea if you're 4th, you go home, and then what is it? 8 out of the 12 go
8 out
through.
of 12, yeah. So you got a 66% chance basically of going through.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny. After Scotland lost their match against Brazil, they got hammered
every game,
and every day they'll change the percentage from like 48 to 6 in 24 hours. Look, if you finish on 4 points, you're going to go through. That's what's happened. If you finish on 3, there's a lottery, and you got what you deserve. So you can only win 1 match, and lose. If you lost the other 2, you got what you deserve. I haven't been. I'm trying to think back to previous competitions, and think if I've been on edge or it's felt very tense on the last fixture, and then there must have been. I've probably just forgotten what last time was like in Qatar, but I think this time round, not so much. There's not been so much tension, although it was great to see the turnaround yesterday with Uzbekistan chucking away there.
Oh my
1-0 lead.
Yeah.
So I thought, there's gonna be a fly in the ointment. But aside from that, there's not been so much jeopardy, I guess. But for me, I focus on jeopardy in the knockouts.
Yeah, we're getting it all now.
Yeah, and there's gonna be plenty of it. So I'm not looking at it thinking, oh my gosh, it should have been more dramatic. But I do feel that there's real drama to come in the next round. So and the further round. So I'm fine with it.
And JWS then, so put it this way, like I said at the start, a 32 team World Cup only has 64 games to get to the winner. This time we've had 72 games and we've gotten rid of 16 teams. What are your thoughts on that as a format?
I think the 32 game format, 32 team format, should I say, was perfect. Absolutely perfect. I don't like the expanded. I know what the pushback is going to be, but as I referred to the last thing, there's somebody who knows written extensively on this and has a framework, part of chapter number 10, manifesto, how to improve. So I'm just going to give you a little sprinkle.
Give us the snippet, yeah.
What they should do, because and Infantino and Valsa Wenger, they said, oh yeah, it's to give other teams a chance. No, if you're serious about giving other team a chance, then make the distribution of places more equitable. Do you know that if you look at in terms of the population, if it's basically World Cup, it's supposed to represent the world. Both Africa and Asia make up almost 70% of the world's population.
Yeah.
Well, why should Europe get more than both combined? It doesn't make any sense. This is a legacy of colonialism, because back in the early part of the 20th century, African teams couldn't really join the World Cup because they were under colonial rule. That's why Eusebio couldn't play for Mozambique because he didn't have a team. He had to play for Portugal. Jules Fontaine couldn't play for I think was it Algeria or Algeria. He played for France. This is what I'm trying to say. So that's the real. So rather than so yes, you have more African teams there, but you know what? Europe's allocation got increased as well. You've got Cannonball, which you've got 10 members.
50% basically
10
of
members.
CONMEBOL go. Yep.
Exactly. And in some cases, you might have even 60% because,
Yeah.
you know, if they're playoff. So
They get the
it's not
playoff, yeah.
really, so it's not really representative. If you want to make change, go through that. But obviously, UEFA ain't going to have it. So there you have
Yeah.
it.
And that's essentially it, isn't it? UEFA and CONMEBOL are going to say no, and the TV companies are also going to say, actually, we want the South American teams. And like you say, it is such a backwards mindset, and you know we still see it in some of the punditry of, well, African, African teams. What are they going to bring to the World Cup? They're not technically good enough. All this kind of stuff, and that's what we kept hearing about. Oh, the World Cup's going to be diluted, but Uruguay stunk up the place. Absolutely, you know, they stunk up the place. Some of the European teams were not great as well either. So
if you really want to go deep, why does the UK have four members? Four
there you
members?
go. You know,
no one else can get away with that. Oh, and Denmark has got two. It's got Denmark and the Faroe Islands. But that's the thing. So it's like, you know, and Scotland. I'm sorry, what Scotland have been going to the World Cup in the 1950s. They've not done a single thing.
They've never left the group stage. Yeah. Never. Oh, we're coming on to Scotland, don't you?
So have we got a Scotland segment?
We do. Yeah, just a small one, but yes, we have.
I'm ready to get stuck into that.
Yeah, we need to get into that, mate. They're a disgrace, absolute disgrace.
Tell you who else is a disgrace from Europe? Turkey
as well. Yeah. The dark horses Turkey, who didn't even turn up.
Dud birds.
My goodness. So you know, I think that's the point. People are thinking, oh, what are Cape Verde going to do, and DRC and all the, and it's like, well, no, like actually the European teams and Turkey were in the American group. Okay, fine. All right, maybe the host game might be a bit tough. That was their third game. They're already out of it anyway. You know, Paraguay put pay to them as it was. So yeah, I think there's definitely an insight. Shout out to Jez, who's watching on YouTube as well, and all our YouTube watchers. Feel free to chip in with your comments. Sorry, Jade, let's go ahead.
What if DRC go and do a mad thing? I'm just saying. They play England.
I mean, if they do, then I think you might need to make yourself available Wednesday night. I think we might have to emergency pod for that one if that were to happen.
I think Tuchel need to make an emergency call to get out of it.
Exactly. Just before we get into the bracket and the knockouts, we've touched on them, but yeah, I did want to talk about some of the teams leaving. Let's talk about Scotland.
Oh,
my goodness, Scotland! Do Scotland, and it's interesting actually the point you say about, you know, essentially the devolution of the United Kingdom teams. Do Scotland just get more airtime because of their proximity to England? Because this is not Scotland. Their league is not that great. You know, they're doing qualifiers for Europa League and Conference League, and their national team are very intermittent in international tournaments. It's only really the last 2 Euros and this World Cup, but before that it was the 90s and the 80s. Essentially, they are essentially international minnows, right? But even I just think, Drew, talk to me about what happened in Scotland's group. And they had Brazil and Morocco. Yeah, but Cape Verde managed to get a very credible point against Spain. Scotland had 2 shots on target in the group stages, if I'm correct. Talk to me about what does that say about their performance, their footballing, and just the expectations that were on Scotland?
Okay, since you asked, because I have many opinions on this. Scotland, as a nation, have a problem. It's a mentality problem. This isn't necessarily a resource problem, because you mentioned the quality of the league. I don't think the Cape Verde League is brimming over with quality either, right? Scotland have been to something like, and someone could correct me, I think 8 or 9 tournaments, and never, ever progress beyond the group stages. That's an absolute disgrace. And that comes down to mentality and mindset. You know, when you see, I like the Scotland fans, and it's true they bring a lot of energy, and that's part of the reason that they get a lot of airtime, because the Tartan Army, they're more successful off the pitch than the team on it. Now, specifically about this World Cup, no one sat here, I don't believe. You can tell me I'm chatting breeze if you want, but I don't believe anyone sat around here would have anticipated Scotland not beating Haiti. And I don't think they would have anticipated Scotland beating Brazil. or Morocco. Morocco, who reached the semi-finals of the World Cup, first African team to do so last time round. Morocco, who apparently are AFCON champions. Morocco, who have at least, I would say, 3 or 4 players that just piss all over the Scotland team. So the issue, I think, was with regards to the performance. You mentioned the 2 shots on goal, but in terms of the points output, there's 0 surprises. I wasn't sat there shocked thinking, oh my god, why couldn't they get more than 3 points? But the thing is, the mindset of the players, of the media, of the coach who's whining like a baby when they want to do a post-match interview, it all feeds into this whole thing of, oh, Scotland, they got a hard time, or that manager, by the way, he resigned, didn't he? 1 a.m.
Yeah,
yesterday.
I'm going to comment on some of his quotes. Yeah,
he's waiting for.
Wait.
Yeah, it's like someone was waiting to press the button as soon as it was mathematically impossible. I mean, he should have gone after the Brazil performance. They could have saved himself a night in whatever hotel they were staying in, just put him on a plane, send him home. Because after that match, he said, "Oh, they've got no chance of going through. It's over." Anyway. I mean, what kind of motivation is that? He was right, but you don't want to be hearing it for your line manager. Imagine you're at work, right, and you've turned in a really shit presentation. The manager's like, "Yeah, it's over. This deal isn't going to go through." That's not very motivational. Part of his job is to be a motivational, encouraging force who G's up the team. And the biggest problem they've got, and the one criticism I'd label at them, because they never had the resources to overcome the teams in their group and progress. Never. The biggest thing is
disagree.
Yes, they had an opportunity in terms of performing a bit better, but it's just the vibe. They have an underdog vibe, even when they are playing underdogs to them.
Yeah.
And frankly, that's always going to be a recipe for not doing very well in life generally, never mind in football. And that also extends to their club football as well, because we've seen some of the piss poor teams that Celtic have come up against and just laid down and got beaten up. And I've seen the national team in the same light.
Yeah. And shout out to Jez, who says that Scotland set up to lose to Brazil but not get battered. It's a mentality issue indeed. Absolutely. I think Steve Clarke went in thinking, right, 1-0 loss, we might actually still be able to get through. And I think that is such a bad way to look at it. And I think this kind of speaks to, like you said, it comes from the manager, it goes through the FA. And JWS, I'm just going to read you a couple of quotes from Steve Clarke's leaving note, which, like you said, was, I think it was less than 5 minutes after the final whistle of the England game, so the 10 o'clock games, where they were just, like we said, every round, their percentage was going lower and lower. They were on 0.07% before the England game, that England group started. So once that was done, they knew they were. He must have sent that from the airport, because he must have known. But in his leaving message to the Scottish fan, he's saying, we had great memories, including the 0-0 win versus England, and he's saying bye-bye to Scotland, and we created so many memories. And it's like,
did he actually say 0-0 win?
Yeah, 0-0 win. Yes, that is a quote directly from there. Yeah. He said a 0-0 win in the statement, and the SFA released that as well. It's just JWS. Talk to you about Steve Clarke. Sorry,
even their press office is operating at very low standards. It's disgraceful.
They let that through. Exactly.
It's worth noting, as the Liverpool podcast, he was our assistant manager the whole season.
Yeah, under Dalglish. Yeah,
under Dalglish. But anyway, I don't buy this whole they don't have the resources stuff. Do you know what I mean? Because it's like, as you said, Curacao. Okay, no, Curacao didn't make it, but there are other teams you've seen, like these Saudi Arabian man, these guys who play for the other teams. They don't have the resources either. Even when they had Dalglish and Souness and Hunter, they still flopped. So I don't want to hear it. 70s and 80s.
Managed by Fergie as well. In the
86.
Stadium.
Because Jock Stein died in '85, so he came out.
Of course, yeah, in the qualifying. Yeah.
And then Alan McLeod died in '78. So you've always had that. They've always flopped. So this whole resources stuff, I don't want to hear it. We've seen Iceland. I saw Iceland did something in the Euros. Wales did something in the Euros as well.
Wales got to semi-final. Yeah.
Basically, so that's this hard luck story. And secondly, if it were in the 32-team World Cup, then I'd give it to them because only 2 can go through, right? But 3rd place was good enough.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It was harder to get home than to go.
And then and to be fair, in all honesty, the only Scotland match I watched in its entirety was the Brazil match, right? As you can imagine, I'm not copying, right? So, and if you saw the defenders were passing to the attackers, that's ridiculous. And Brazil even had a goal disallowed, right? Yeah. Which shouldn't have been disallowed because my man was just dawdling on the ball. Yeah. So you could see they went up, they just froze. So you're right, it's a mentality issue.
Do you think that was a manager? Or the players freezing in response to pressure?
I think it could be a bit of both, to be fair, because it had the manager not been there, had it been placed another manager. I still
lump some blame on one side, please. Where are you going?
No. The reason why I can't do it, the reason why I can't say it with definitively is because this is the history of the Scotland. Quite literally,
this is the history of the. There you go. There you go.
We've got too much data to blame it on one person, as far as I'm concerned, right? Until this cycle is broken. So I do feel that because I don't think Steve Clarke would have told whoever sent about, go pass it to Vinicius Junior and then give him a clear run on goal. I don't think he did that. But equally, like the players, I don't know what they're doing in training. I don't know, but I just think because people like some of those players in the Premier League, they perform actually decent. They're not wasted. Do you know what I'm saying? And what you were asking to was the basics. Fair enough, I expect them to be beaten by Brazil, but a 2-1 defeat would have got them through. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and that's what you could have got. You got away with, right? But they couldn't even manage that, you know. So, and Haiti managed. So what's wrong with them? There's no excuse for it. There's no excuse for it. And their biggest achievement in world football is being near neighbours to England. Founders of football. That is it. That is it.
I have a theory that we're going to have a clip.
Apologies for our Scotland viewers.
And I think, that's a potential candidate.
You don't work with Scottish people, do you, Double S?
To be fair, I love Edinburgh. Yeah,
I love it. Great city. Yeah,
Edinburgh's a great city, and I went there I had an interview there earlier this year, actually.
For the manager's job.
Interviewing at the University of Edinburgh, and it's a lovely place. I've a lot of time for the city. My dad went to the University of Glasgow as well. You know, I love Scotland. I love the Scottish people, but I'm sorry, the national team can't. The results are there for all to see.
They deserve better.
Yeah, I'd say they deserve better. They do deserve better.
Brilliant. Well, thanks. Some of the other, just to round up on those that are leaving, because we're going to talk about those that are still here, because 66% of the teams that came are still here. But Uruguay, Turkey, Tunisia, South Korea, these are the ones that stick out to me as, if you're telling me there's a 32 teams, I'm waking up today and I'm thinking, right, who are the 32 teams still in the World Cup? I'm expecting more from South Korea, Uruguay. We've spoken about Turkey. Tunisia were awful. The South Korean president has actually asked for a government inquiry into the results. So I think that kind of says it all. I think the South Korean president's also thinking, how have we not managed to go through? So these are some of the other teams that have gone home. But we're going to talk about the teams that are still here. And we're going to talk through the bracket.
Can I talk about Uruguay quickly?
Oh, sorry, go ahead. Yeah. If anyone's got any views on it. Yeah.
Just as you mentioned them, and we were talking about Scotland and manic depressive managers. Bielsa, what the hell is he doing in this job? This guy. This guy. How could anyone play under him? He just looks like the world is going to end. He did this. I don't know if you saw a photo shoot where
I'm not a model.
You looked out.
All they wanted was one image of him looking, happy to be there, happy to be alive. And he wouldn't do it. Just looked down, said, I'm not a model. Then he covers his hands during press conferences. Okay, fair enough. He takes all the blame, all the responsibility, but there's no way Uruguay should be going home like that. And they walked into that hiring this guy. I don't know how he keeps getting job after job. It's like flipping Roberto Martinez. Not sure if he's got the best agent in the world or he's just very convincing.
And some of the things when Bielsa has this reputation for Bielsa football, etc., and he's not actually won a major trophy or title since I think 1994, 93, 94, something like that. So it's 30 plus years where living off a reputation. And I agree with you. I think Uruguay, pound for pound, Uruguay are probably the biggest. Uruguay and Turkey. Turkey really, really do have a good team. So I'd say Uruguay and Turkey are probably the biggest underachievers, pound for pound.
Yeah. It's also worth noting on Bielsa that Andoni Iraola, I got it right, see? He notes Bielsa as one of his coaching, what do you call it?
Like idols.
Inspiration.
Yeah, mentors.
So,
yeah. Because of course he would have been the Bilbao manager, especially. I mean, they got to that. Didn't they get to Europe? Was still UEFA Cup final, I think, under Bielsa and that Bilbao team, so maybe that was the heyday 12 years ago.
Maybe.
Brilliant. So it is, we're about halfway through, so we're going to take a little hydration break, have a little sip of water, which there we go.
I'll be back in 3 minutes.
There we go. 3 minutes on the dot. We'll play some Mr. Brightside in the background. But if you are listening to us on the pods, don't worry, we're not going to desert you for 3 minutes. But please do like, share, subscribe, give us 5-star reviews. And those of you watching on YouTube as well, send us your comments as you're watching. So we're going to talk about England in a second, but we're just going to briefly look at the World Cup bracket as it is, because, there are still 32 teams in this World Cup. So, we're not going to talk about those that have gone. They're already on their flights home. They're back in Europe and Montevideo and all these other places. So let's have a look at the World Cup bracket of the remaining 32 teams. And we're not going to go through game by game. We're just going to look at them in the different quarters. And we're starting off today with South Africa versus Canada in the first game. Also, we're going to talk about formats, and I've got a golden envelope question for my guests about what they would do if they're FIFA president for a day. I think Canada have been done over. They came second in their group, and now they've gone to LA. They're not even in Canada anymore. And it's like, well, if you're going to host, and
that was their fault. They didn't win a group.
It was.
If they put in a bit more effort, they would have won a group and stayed in Canada.
Basically,
I don't know. I think they could have. There are enough games at we've got Monterrey, Toronto. They could have guaranteed. Oh wow! Okay, I'm in the minority. Fair enough. I think they should have put first and second from the Canada and Mexico groups, respectively. They should have had those games. If you're going to host a tournament, you've got to have the chance. But I'm in a minority for that, so fair enough. Canada open the knockouts again with a game against South Africa. That game is in Los Angeles, so I'm sure there'll still be a lot of Canadian fans in there this evening. So looking in that first quarter bracket, and some of these games are also then tomorrow. We've got Germany, Paraguay, France, Sweden, Netherlands, Morocco. So we've got probably who we think are some of the favourites. But JWS, talk to me about this first quarter in the top left with, we've got Germany, France, and Netherlands, Morocco in there.
The only one I'm confident in actually calling the result is the France-Sweden one. I think France-Sweden one, I think that's pretty much a given.
The other is that hat-trick, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, there you go. I mean, South Africa, Canada, you would think Canada will go through, but you just don't know. I don't trust these Canadians, right? It's football at the end of the day. Netherlands against Morocco, that's actually quite feisty. That's actually been quite feisty.
I hope people are ready. This is a 2 a.m. kickoff, by the way. So
which one?
2 a.m. for us in the UK.
Yeah. Netherlands, Morocco is 9 p.m. Eastern,
Monday night, Tuesday morning, depending on how you look at it.
Yeah. It doesn't matter. It could be 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm there.
You're gonna watch it.
So yeah, it is what it is. Yeah, I think Germany.
So give me some projections. So you're
You're
going for what? Germany and France?
I'm going Germany, France, Morocco. I think Morocco might do it, and maybe Canada on penalties.
Yeah. Okay. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Mr. Drew, talk to me then just on this Netherlands Morocco, which seems like maybe the juicy tie in this quarter, or certainly the closest one. How do you think that could go? Because we've seen Morocco. I feel like I've watched their games, and it doesn't look like they've come out of third gear. They knew they did enough to get through. And Netherlands as well. They've been very Jekyll and Hyde, where they look very easy to break down. Japan managed to get 2 really soft goals on them, and they then look devastated against Sweden. So talk to me specifically about this Netherlands-Morocco game.
So I think that what we can expect from this tie is Netherlands to show their fallibility. And it's going to be a lot closer for comfort than Ned wants. Neither of these two teams, in my eyes, have an opportunity to win this tournament.
Interesting.
So
you're not on the Moroccan hype train of semi-finalists last time.
They got to the semi-finals, which was an incredible achievement. They're not gonna. I don't think they're gonna do that this time, but they will give Netherlands a very, very, very difficult game. And also, there's like the cultural intrigue around the fact that you got a lot of Moroccans in the Netherlands, so that should make it extra spicy. I think there's gonna be lots of goals. I'll struggle to call it, but if you had to ask me for a gun to head prediction, I'd say Morocco just maybe an extra time winner.
It's also worth noting, questioning, because of the sad news about Cody Gakpo yesterday, would he be available? Because he's a key player for them. So would he be available for this match? I'm not sure. If he's not, then that kind of makes it even less likely to win, in my opinion.
Yeah, and he's been in really good form, hasn't he?
World Cup Gakpo. He did this in Qatar as well, you know.
He's done a lot of cutting inside and damaging teams. But yeah, it's very sad to hear the loss of his unborn baby. And I don't know if that means that he's gonna take some time. I didn't see specifically it was the case that he's gonna take some time away from the tournament. But whatever the case, wish his family the best. But in terms of that particular fixture, yeah, I'll go for Morocco, Josh.
Yeah. Okay, and yeah, we do send our thoughts to Cody Gakpo with that devastating news, and our prayers are with him and his partner Noah and their family going forward. We'll wait to hear more. You know, there's been a lot around. You know, people taking personal time for this World Cup, and you know, Jeremy Doku's partner had a baby, and he was back by the. You know, he basically did. He missed the one game, and he was back, and Belgium went through. But unfortunately, on the further side news, Didier Deschamps lost his mother, so he did actually miss that France-Norway game. But I think we'll presume that he probably will be back for the knockout. So, just as a reminder, you know, we always have to remind ourselves, and you know, these are all human beings. They've all got all this going on. They're halfway across the world, and you know, you get that difficult phone call and all that happy phone call in Doku's instance as well. And I know there was a bit of stick, I think, from some French commentators and journalists. I think, you know, I'm not a father. I'm not a father yet, so I can't even imagine. But I don't think there'd be any situation in which I'm told my partner's about to have their first kid, and whatever situation I'm in, you know, I'm glad that he took that decision and kind of gave a thumbs down to the naysayers and the, you know, well, you know, you should be privileged to be at the World Cup kind of.
There's one in particular, wasn't it? France Piron.
Yes, I don't have the direct quote.
Yes,
I don't want to misquote, but it was a L'Equipe journalist saying, you know, this is your job, and you know, all the sacrifices made to go there. But it's like he missed one game. He came back. He flew on a private jet. You know, he wasn't waiting around JFK to board the BA flight to London. So.
But what if it was the day before the final? Just asking the question.
We'll go into. I'm not going to answer that.
We'll leave it.
We'll leave it there. I think
I was about to commit the cardinal sin of biting. I was about to bite.
No, I nearly didn't. We're going to look into the second quarter, but there's a lot of African teams in this bracket.
Oh, gents. Come on.
You know, as JWS has pointed out, you know, the proportionality of places for Africa, and you know, the 32-team World Cup only had 5 African teams, and when you really think about that, there's about 55 federations in Africa. Well, at any given time, 2 are suspended, fine. But they've got 10 that went through to the World Cup this time, a couple of debutants, and 9 of them got through. Tunisia, we've discussed, absolute, probably the worst team, to be fair, at the World Cup. But 9 of the African teams went through. We've got Senegal in this quarter. JWS, talk to me about 9 African teams in this bracket before we specifically look in this quarter.
9 African teams. I mean, it just shows you that all of the tropes of they haven't earned their right, blah 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 blah. I mean, I can tell you a little story. People talk about when DRC when they made their debut in 1974. There's a lot of memes about it. Oh, these guys are savages, not really blah blah. They're ruining football, blah blah blah. But obviously, before we were born, England made their debut in 1950, and by all accounts, they stunk the place out. They got
Hungary walked all over them. Yeah, and USA. Yeah.
In 1954, made their second appearance, stunk the place out. 1958, same thing, stunk the place out. It was only 1962, at the fourth time, of asking, did they actually start making quarterfinals and actually looking like something? So the point I'm trying to make is they were given 3 to 4 tournaments to actually find their feet. Nobody was questioning their place. Oh, should there be? And in those days, it was pretty much invitation only.
It was invitation-wise, yeah.
There was a qualification, but this whatever, right? So that was that, right? So the point to make is these African teams are not given that leeway. You come in, you have a bad form, people start questioning your ability. A lot of people don't know that, because a lot of people, just as in life in general, they don't know the history. But this is what we're here for. Anyway, getting back to the actual actual today. Actually, it's actually quite good that there's 9 teams in there. But for me, I'm just greedy. I want to see, of those 9 teams, I want to see minimum 4 get to the round of 16 and around that kind of. I don't want to all go out this time. It's worth for nothing. But I'm very, very proud, and I'm actually looking at Cote d'Ivoire, Senegal, DRC.
DRC. I knew you were going to say DRC.
No, I'm looking. I'm actually looking, because I'm thinking about quite a few of them playing the Premier League, so they shouldn't really be that. But
we'll come to DRC when we look at the England quarter, and we'll go into depth with England. Whilst I've got you here, then let's look at Senegal versus Belgium. This is a Belgian team that are past their prime. They're not even a bronze generation anymore. This is the OAPs. Like, they have not looked good at all. I don't know if expect is the right word, but would you expect Senegal to be able to find a way to get through Belgium?
I would hope. I don't expect.
Okay.
Because Mane's past his best. And the other players, they kind of get in good positions, but they waste their chances.
They do.
And I saw in the yes, it was France, but in the first half they had.
They should have been up. They should have been up. Yeah.
And then obviously they lost a little concentration, bit of magic, bam bam. Before you know it, the game got to go away from them. So it could be that their level, and they're probably peppering the Belgian goal, and they just one ball over the top, and then that's the thing. If they take their chances, they could wipe the floor of Belgium, but that's a big if. That is a big if, and I don't know. I don't know what to make with Senegal.
And Mr. Drew, for the benefits of our audio listeners, this quarter has Portugal versus Croatia, Spain versus Austria, and the winners will play each other. And then USA versus Bosnia and Herzegovina, and the aforementioned Belgium versus Senegal. What sticks out for you in this quarter? And give me some predictions for who you think will be going through.
I can say who's going to go through. It's going to be Portugal, it's going to be Spain, it's going to be US, and it's going to be Senegal. Put your money on it.
There we go.
I'm most looking forward to Portugal, Croatia, because I think that will be close. And also, you can't ignore the Ronaldo factor. Last World Cup, he's going to come alive. Are the Portuguese going to show themselves to be credible challengers, or is it going to all end in tears? I don't know. I've got a feeling they'll just creep through. But yeah, I hope Senegal go through.
Yeah,
I think for the same reasons WS stated, I wouldn't be supremely confident. I think they've got a good chance. Belgium are a bit wishy-washy.
Belgium,
Even in the
Yeah.
days where they had peak De Bruyne and Hazard, they still flopped, didn't they? So they are perennial underachievers, and I wouldn't be surprised if they flop this time around too.
Absolutely. And we've got Spain, who are some of the bookies' pre-tournament favourites. And they're in what would maybe be seen as a slightly favourable draw. Although, yeah, that Portugal team. On paper, when the lineups are coming out of these teams, and I'm looking at this Portuguese 11, I am looking at it thinking there's no one better than this. I think that Ronaldo maybe is a slight holdback. That's the only position.
100%.
That's the only position. Whereas all the other positions and players, I don't think there's a better left back than Nuno Mendes. You know, you got Vitinha, João Neves, etc. in the midfield. This is a very, very good team. So it'd be interesting if things play out and we get a Portugal.
It's interesting how one goat is carrying a team on his back and the other goat is holding their team back.
Holding their team back. Yeah,
was playing like a goat.
He's playing like a goat, a literal goat.
Yeah.
And we have the USA in this quarter as well, who, with the home factor, I'm not going to be shocked here seeing USA in a semi-final against Spain. You know, I'm not going to be shocked if they manage to get through Bosnia and Herzegovina and then the winner of Belgium, Senegal. That Seattle game. Seattle is probably one of the loudest stadiums. You know, I watch quite a bit of NFL, and they've got a fervent football. It's an actual genuine football community as well. That's not going to be an easy game for whoever gets them. So, yeah, I think USA might find themselves in the semi-final against probably Spain, to be honest, if we're being realistic.
Did you see how Pochettino is getting quite a bit of stick? Or I don't know if he was getting a lot of stick or he's just being ultra defensive. But because they lost their last game, I think it was the Turkey 3-2, the press he was getting wasn't what he wanted. And he's coming across now as one of those quite unlikable coaches who seems to have an air of arrogance about him, as if he's achieved a lot in his career. Let's not forget, he went to France and won the league, and that was kind of like the height of his footballing achievements. Yet he seems to come across, I don't know if it's just for the US audience, he's playing up to the cameras, because it's a different kind of vibe over there. Seems to come across as someone who's like, you know, I know better than all of the rest of you. So in a way, I'll be happy if the US not go home, because they're already home, but if they get dumped out.
I think you're right. I think he's having to work the audience at hand, and I think they maybe didn't immediately realize that actually was a dead rubber for America because of the format change to head-to-head. Literally, it meant absolutely nothing. So, like, maybe the audience didn't really, you know, get that. But I think I agree with you. I think he is playing up to the audience a bit. In the next quarter, we've got there are a lot of African teams in every single one of these games. So maybe this is where some of the four that JWS is hoping come through. We've got Argentina versus Cape Verde, which, for multiple reasons, for me is the tie of the round. The Messi factor versus the underdog factor. I think this is the definition of David versus Goliath. We've got Australia versus Egypt. Most out of July 3rd, so he won't actually be a Liverpool player anymore. So, you know, I don't really I'm not rooting for anyone in that game. Switzerland versus Algeria, and Colombia versus Ghana. Shout out to all our Ghanaian listeners as well for this podcast. JWS, which of these African teams do you give the best chance of going through?
I would say Egypt and Algeria. They would be the joint best two, because Switzerland, they're a decent outfit, but they're not great. Australia, you know what I mean? They're okay. You know, they're a competent nation, but they're not by any means well beaters. I would say Egypt will be disappointed to not beat them. I would have thought.
Yeah.
Cape Verde, it will be a great story, but I don't see it happening. But if it does, I'm here for it. The Colombia one, I fear for Ghana. Because Colombia, the way I saw they were on Portugal, that high press, that was
very slick.
But having said that, Ghana do have a solid defense, and Ghana could stink out the place. So it's probably gonna be a intriguing matchup. I think I'm rooting for Ghana, 100%, but I kind of think Colombia will be too strong for them. I fear.
Okay. And Mr. Drew, what chance do you give Cape Verde of pulling off what would genuinely be one of the World Cup's greatest shocks?
I mean, I think you just answered your own question by saying it would generally be one of the World Cup's greatest ever shocks. So less than the 0.5% of a chance, because it's just not going to happen, Mr. Savage.
Oh man, I think they're gonna.
I mean, I'm not even looking forward to that game because I think it's going to be quite one-sided. They're gonna get dealt with in that one.
Right, I think Argentina will go through. I don't think they're going to walk through them. I think Cape Verde might take them to extra time. Calling it, clip it up. I think Cape Verde take it to extra time. That's a win for me. Shout out to all our YouTube watchers as well. Shout out to Jez. Another comment. Yeah, Colombia were very impressive, fast, and really physically strong. Challenge off Colombia. I mean, I think because a lot of their games are in that 3 to 5 a.m. window for the UK. I think all of their group games were, apart from yesterday, which was 1 a.m. So it's a bit better against Portugal. I've been impressed by Colombia, actually. They've gotten on with the job. They're basically playing home games. They've traveled really well. I think their first 2 games were Mexico, and it was like you were thinking you were playing in Colombia. They'll be able to deal with any altitude issues, although they're not back in. It doesn't look like they're back in Mexico, so they'll be all right. Yeah, Colombia.
Can I ask you a question, Sam?
Yeah, go ahead.
Who would you be happier for to have a great World Cup? Would it be Mohamed Salah or Luis Diaz? And why?
I don't know what you're getting at in that question, to be honest. I would say Mo Salah because he's had a rough time of it with Egypt. If we're talking his national team career, he's been unlucky. He's had penalty heartbreaks, qualifications. Because previously there were only 5 slots, so it was actually really difficult for a team the quality of Egypt to get through. I think he's a couple goals off the outright record. I think he's 1 goal off it now. I'd love to see him get that. Mo Salah is one of the greatest players of his era, and just because he's African doesn't mean it should be downplayed at all. He really is one of the best players of the last decade, and if he were to get to a World Cup quarterfinal or semi-final, that would be a cherry on top of an absolutely outstanding career, and a career that has been downplayed actually on the African continent because of maybe how far he hasn't taken Egypt. So I think it would be great. So I actually genuinely, hand on heart, would love Mo Salah to have a great tournament. I agree. I think they probably beat Australia. And then obviously they'll play Cape Verde in that last 32 game. And then they've got a chance to get to semi-final. So I would love Mo Salah to have a great tournament, get the outright record for Egypt as a top goal scorer. He took them to their first win as well. So, I think, it really is the story of Mo Salah's career. And I think that if he can write all of those records, then I'd be really happy for him.
Yeah. I want them both to do well.
Yeah. And finally, we've come to the quarter that contains England, and we're going to have a very quick depth in deep dive into England as well, both from the manager perspective and some of the players. So I'll ask you both on that. But we've got Brazil versus Japan, Cote d'Ivoire. I think we call them by their name. We call Turkey now. So I'm going to go Cote d'Ivoire versus Norway, and the winners will meet each other. And then Mexico versus Ecuador and England versus DRC. So for me, this is the quarter where almost every game is really hard to call for different reasons. Even Brazil, Japan are very organized, and if you catch Japan at the wrong moment, like other teams have found out, Japan can really do something. So, JWS, what game sticks out for you here? Go there.
To be fair, this round, this section, all 4 games have a bit of something. Yeah. Do you mean they all have a bit of something? Brazil, Japan, that could go either way. The Japanese are no slouches. They run for days. They're fit. They're organized. They may not have the magic, but they've got workmanlike players. And this Brazil team ain't that great anyway. Do you know what I mean? If you're organized and you have a plan, you can turn these guys over. Because it's not the Brazil of old as we know that. Having said that, give them space like Scotland did, and then they can do. But Scotland were especially bad. I don't expect Japan. I think this will go to extra time, possibly penalties.
Yeah, I can see that.
Ivory Coast, Norway. Ivory Coast all day. I think because I feel that they've got quality all over the place. I'm looking forward to our new signing as well. Looking at him, seeing how his stock's going to rise. But there is a bit of that, and the way him and Buemo and Ahmed, is it no Buemo? Who is no Ahmed? Ahmad, the Man United.
Yeah.
Where they link up is actually quite good, and
Yeah.
Pepe looking like a proper baller.
He's looking, yeah. I'm like Nicolas Pepe. Okay, yeah.
I'm liking interchange. I think they might start for Norway. Although I like Norway's little rowboat celebration. Mexico, Ecuador. That's just like a fiesta of football. I don't know much of the players, but I think it'll be good anyway. And England, DRC. Oy, don't even get me started. Obviously England are favourites.
Hold your thoughts on that game.
Okay.
Yeah, hold your thoughts on that game, because we're gonna, just before we finish, we'll definitely do a bit more on England, as the majority of our audience are definitely in England. Mr. Drew, what sticks out for you in this competitive quarter?
Well, Ivory Coast, Norway is going to be an absolute cracker. I really am looking forward to that, because there's such a contrast of styles, cultures, lots of familiar faces for us as Premier League fans, to lots of narratives for us to attach to the game. And also, yes, Yan Diomande, if he ever comes to Liverpool, if he's going to have a stage to showcase why he's worth 130 million, whatever it is they're asking for,
whatever it is now.
This will be it. And Haaland is going to be so up for this. I really dislike the way Norway play football, but I enjoy the vibes around the team. And I enjoy the vibes around Ivory Coast as well. Brazil, Japan, I think Brazil have far superior players. They do have, at the centre of their defence, absolute linchpins, Marquinhos and Gabriel, right? You can't really get a better partnership than that, unlike in England. And they've got enough of a sting in the tail up front to handle Japan if they apply themselves in the right way. So I'd expect Brazil to go through. Mexico, Ecuador, because they'll be on the high of beating Germany, a Germany that were motivated not to lose that game, and who put out a strong lineup. So I think that may carry them through, the momentum of that. We'll see. And England, I'd expect to.
The Azteca.
Yeah, even so, I can see Ecuador. Yeah, maybe, but I can see Ecuador taking advantage of the pressure that will bring for Mexico. And then, England, I'd expect to go through. Yeah. One thing I would say, actually, because we were talking about the the managers, not the managers, the forwards, and I was talking about Haaland being important. But I'd spoken to you offline on WhatsApp, hadn't I, about the Ghana forward. I wanted to get this in, although we've just been speaking. Yeah, I just don't understand why this guy is still hanging around like a bad smart front. I say that, but then I thought about it, and I thought his dad, who was Abidi Pele, I don't know how many of our listeners or viewers will remember Abidi Pele, but he was one of the famous front three for Marseille. And he's essentially, it was him, Waddle, and who's the other guy?
Jean-Pierre Papin.
Papin, yeah, of course. Legendary French forward. So I think, in a way, his reputation is allowing his son to fulfill his ambitions of playing at a World Cup.
Like
something that
Lance Stroll.
Yeah, well, something Abidi Pele did not play at a World Cup. He was by far and away the best African forward for a concerted period of time. You call it 5, 6, 7 years. He won the Champions League. He's decorated. He's celebrated as one of the best, but he didn't play at a World Cup. And it just kind of feels like his son is being given the opportunity to fulfill his dream and his destiny. So I wanted to get that in there, because every time I watch Ghana, I thought, they probably should have beaten England, but also they could have given themselves a better chance of performing better and getting.
You feel the same about Tim Weah?
Yeah, I mean, at least he showed something, and he wasn't at the World Cup at 30. What is it? 34, 35. for a powerhouse
Having
of a
just been
nation who do
relegated
have other
from-
options. It's really weird to me.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So we're going to touch on England before we wrap up, and I'm going to ask you both slightly different questions and different perspectives. Mr. Drew, talk to me about Thomas Tuchel. Talk to me about how you think he's managed the first 3 games, as well as how England have looked defensively, and this headache, which we cannot avoid talking about at right back, and the rotating options that he's got. So yeah, talk to me about the manager and how you think he's done thus far.
To talk about the manager, you need to start with his decision making before you reach the tournament, and all of us scratch our heads to some degree over that squad selection. And many people looked at it and said, "Oh well, at least he's not being influenced by outside noise." You should be influenced by common sense, which means that if you have Jed Spence, who's the other guy at right back? Well, we had Livramento. On paper, they're not even in the same universe as your favourite Liverpool fullback of past days. But also, you know, across that back line, he's yeah, across that back line, he's selected a number of defenders who've left him in a predictable predicament. That's to say that it was no surprise to anybody that Reece James got crocked.
Well, there was one person who was surprised. Mr. Tuchel said he didn't see it coming.
He didn't see it. Okay, and this is the problem, right? So that's even before you start to look at how he's performed in a tournament. And frankly, in 3-4 weeks' time, we could be saying, "Oh, Drew, you were talking shit because Liverpool won the World Cup." England won the World Cup. So it didn't matter what he did, and he knew what was happening all along. But that was, to me, just avoidable. Then when we get to the tournament itself, he deserves major credit for what happened in that Croatia game, as in reacting to what was in front of him, going front foot. I think he's probably getting a lot of extra credit than he deserves for the halftime team talk, this famous team talk. All it was guys just need to attack this game and win it because we've got better players, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
And then in that Ghana game, I don't like to, England's history in tournaments is they're not very good in second games, so I don't like to attach too much to that. They did okay, they just didn't have much of a cutting edge. And then yesterday it was just fine. But you know what I thought to myself as I was watching that game? If I paid $1,000 or more to watch this football match, I'd be flipping annoyed. I mean, it's absolutely, it was, Panama. They're always going to beat Panama, right? But you just want to see a bit more magic. What's going to bail him out is he has got 2 supreme performers in Bellingham and Kane. And that ultimately, they're going to start every game. And that ultimately, if they do go on to reach a final or do better, will be down to those 2, I think, more than the manager. I think he's like a solid, structured guy who makes weird decisions sometimes, and that's what I'd say about Tuchel. He's not a bad manager. He's a good manager. He's a good coach. I think they can do okay with him, but he could have done himself a few favors by picking a more balanced squad.
Brilliant, thank you. And actually, just off the back of what you're saying in terms of the players, we've got these defensive issues. We've got Quansah playing at right back when I think they said he's not played at right back. He's had 2 games at right back in the last 2 years, none at Leverkusen. So it's just a couple experimental games at Liverpool. He's gotten injured as well. You brought Chalobah, you called him up, but he's literally not a right back. He's a right centre back at best. Are you going to play Quansah at right back? Or Jed Spence now going to have to play right back, which he did bring him on. There's a lot going on there. So JWS, talk to me about the players. Obviously, we've got some of those issues and question marks about the selections. But I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think there are 2 standout players for England, 2 absolute world-class players in Jude Bellingham, who had a great game. He's had man of the match, twice in 3 days, although definitely shouldn't have got it against Ghana. But yesterday was a game changer. And Harry Kane, who's setting records as well. We're talking about Mbappe, Messi, and Haaland. Harry Kane is in the conversation. He's got a golden boot. He did his job in the group stages, despite Witch Doctor's best efforts in the Ghana game.
Big other Witch Doctor.
He set the record now for most goals scored by an Englishman at World Cup with 11, beating Gary Lineker's record. Talking about Harry Kane, but also some of the superstars that can hopefully help England progress as far as possible.
Okay, Harry Kane. I mean, when he was in the Premier League, right? I rated him, but grudgingly. I was like, yeah, but it's. You mean, when you're in the league, you don't. But when he's left the league now, I can be more objective, and I can actually appreciate him for what he really is, right? And that's where we're at with him. He is an absolute freak of nature. It's like the consistency which he scores goals. Remember, scoring the Premier League, he's been 25 minimum per season for Spurs, right? For Spurs, and look at us. Fair enough. There was a time he had a good team, but generally doesn't matter who he's playing around. He's doing that, and then he's doing international level as well, international tournaments. He's actually, and the thing is, where we talk about Van Basten or I don't know, Gerd Müller, whatever. I mean, if they played for England and Spurs for most of their career, they wouldn't have the trophies they have. You know what I mean? So it's like when we look at Harry Kane, we've got to look at that as well. I just think he's a wonderful striker, and I think we'll appreciate him more when he retires than we do now. I feel.
And
is he the best?
Right.
But then, he's the best English striker
ever.
I never saw Jimmy Greaves, right?
But you saw Sherry, you saw Owen, you saw Rooney.
He's better than him.
Yeah, he is. As a striker, pure striker, I'm not sure that's up for debate anymore.
Yeah. I remember
he's a goal scoring machine.
He's been banging goals. He's been doing 10 years straight, no break.
Yeah.
No break.
If he played his whole career in the Premier League, he would have broken the Premier League record as well.
Yeah, had one season off, bro.
Yeah.
So crazy.
Yeah, and I think you're right, JWS. Like he's chasing Gerd Müller records and stuff. All timers and. Yeah,
and when he went in the Bundesliga, he's breaking records too. So people say Bundesliga is easy, but strikers that have been there ain't doing it. Lewandowski's records.
He's breaking Lewandowski records. Yeah, absolutely. And in the history of the World Cup, no striker essentially has ever won the Golden Boot more than once.
Exactly.
And Mbappe and Kane, again, we could be sitting in 3 weeks' time. One of those two could win the Golden Boot, and if it's Harry Kane, that is. Think about what that means to win the only player in the history of the sport to won the World Cup Golden Boot twice. Those are the levels, and I think JWS, you're right. He'll be appreciated a lot more after, and I think that he was tainted by the whole Spursy thing and not winning a trophy whilst in England, but he did his job. He did his job at Spurs. He's done his job for Bayern Munich, and he's absolutely done his job.
I also think there's one other reason why he doesn't have the swag of an Henry. He doesn't have the aura of a Shearer or Kun Aguero. He looks like a class prefect, right? He doesn't look like. I mean, back to class prefects, stay in school and all that great stuff. But he's got that kind of. He doesn't have the aura about him, and that kind of counts. He's not like as marketable as the others, and I think that kind of counts against him. That's why the street don't give him credit, but he's amazing. But anyway, speaking about England in general.
How far do you think England can go? We saw the bracket. I think they did their job to make sure they won the group, and it's slightly favourable, quote unquote. But how far do you think England can go?
I think they should probably get to a semi-final, but I don't think they can get more than that. And that's purely from what I said last time. They don't have a midfield that can keep the ball, and in these temperatures, you can't be because there's gonna come a game when Harry Kane and Jude Bellingham are ineffective, right? People, teams are gonna watch these and think, we can nullify these two, and bam, what you got next? Can Eze, can I don't know, Morgan Rogers, can these guys step up? It remains to be seen, because they're gonna have to. They're gonna have to, like who's taking penalties when Harry Kane's off the pitch?
Yeah.
Have they got the ball? Have they got the nerve? Do you see something? These are the kind of things we need to find out. And I'd imagine in order to get to the final, England's gonna have to go for at least one penalty shootout, and we all know how that can go. So that's the kind of thing. I think there needs to be this. Fair enough. Some like Messi and Maradona, they can Baggio, their man can drag you to a World Cup final. They're all-time greats. We don't have that kind of player. Like as much as great as Harry Kane is, he needs service. Reliable service, and obviously your favorite right back's not available to ping them in. Do you know what I mean?
I think more than that, you need a strong base, and that's what they lack.
Yeah, you're right.
So the fact that we all look at that central defense and think, what the hell? As much as we, don't love Harry Maguire, was he a worse choice to have in the squad than Dan Burn? Not sure. Stones, he's barely been
I don't understand the Stones one.
Yeah.
He played that first game, and you start the World Cup. Your first game, whoever the opponent is, that's your statement of these. This is my 11. We're not seeing Stones. What was the point? Is he injured? And they've just not told us.
But do you know what though, bro? What I'll say is that had he brought John Stone to Harry, or had him Harry Maguire, whatever, I don't think it would add too much difference to results. Because it's not like our defense. It's not like defense being
maybe not. But Maguire for England, he's shown in the last couple of tournaments he is dependable. Look, Ezri Konsa got away with a Stonewall penalty. There's been a little bit of frailties between the centre backs and the keeper. I don't know if that happens with Maguire in. Being totally honest.
Well, the thing is, we all know that somebody like Pickford is a bit of a hothead, with or without Maguire. We've seen him do it for Everton. He loses his head, right? And he should have been sent off really against in the Ghana game too. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So every Konsa made one mistake. Fair enough, it's a blatant penalty, but any player can do that. Do you know what I mean? If he's doing it every single time, fair enough. The point I'm trying to make is that sometimes when players are not here, we make out they're better than what they were. Do you see what I'm saying?
That's fair. I think that's also true because people. Sorry, Drew, I'll come to you in a second. People saying, Cole Palmer in that Ghana game, he wouldn't have done anything different in that Ghana game.
Exactly.
I agree with you on that one. Mr. Drew, go ahead.
I was going to say on Harry Maguire, there's two things. First of all, he has a reputation, and we all had that vision of him steaming in with a header, right? Planting his big forehead on the ball and having big moments. So that's one thing that I don't really see in the current selection of centre backs that we have. And then there's, as you progress through the tournament, the experience and the relative composure of players who have been there before and who play top level football in big pressure scenarios will tell. So that's not to say when I look at the potential fixtures that England have, DRC and maybe Ecuador, Mexico, that may be a massive factor. But the reason I say England can't win it is when you get to semi-final or final, I think that counts for a bit more. And the major problem with defence, I know we've spoken about it at length, but the major problem I see is Thomas Tuchel doesn't know.
Yeah.
He doesn't know what he's back.
It's really clear he's not sure on this team. Yeah.
And that's problematic coming out of the group stage where we're like,
why?
We don't know.
Why is that? I always hear this is, I don't want to be pedantic, but hey, I might be perceived as. People always say, Southgate doesn't know his best 11. Did you know that many teams that win the World Cup, their first 11 changes as the tournament progresses? So someone like Toto Schillaci, for example, in Italian 90, I know they didn't win it. But Italian 90, he didn't start. He didn't start. He wasn't a starter. David Platt, same tournament, he wasn't a starter. Sometimes people are like, in 1998, Stefan Givash was the starting striker. You know what I'm saying? But towards the end, he was like, nah, this guy, whatever. To the point to make not knowing your start isn't necessarily a bad thing, because you can know your starting 11 and still get knocked out. I mean, I'm pretty sure Steve Clark knew his first 11.
I absolutely agree with you, and particularly when it comes to forward players, you expect. Look, I don't see Madueke playing in a World Cup final. Well, I hope not. And some of those forward positions may change. I wasn't talking about the starting 11, because I expect that to evolve. I was talking specifically about that back four, and when I look across that line, I think you do need to have a clue. I think as a manager, you do need to be quite set on, okay, these are the guys I'm going with. I think it's fairly rare. Pretty sure you can pull out records that will contradict my views on this, but fairly rare that you will see defenses being chopped and changed as the tournament progresses for winning teams.
In one word, Drew, how far will England go?
England will get to the final and lose.
Okay. My one word. I think England get to the final as well. I'm looking at this quarter, and okay, circumstances, games, form. Mexico and Mexico City is not going to be easy, but there's not a team. But Brazil, Japan, Ivory Coast, Norway, Mexico, Ecuador, DRC, who, if all things were equal, I see them beating England right now. So, like, I actually think they've done their job to get into this quarter. And then the second half, relatively favourable. Obviously, they'll only play one team, and because Cape Verde are going to knock out Argentina, they're going to have, someone like Colombia, Ghana, Switzerland, Algeria, or Australia, Egypt. Okay. All jokes aside, we're expecting Argentina to come out here.
Yeah.
England, Argentina semi-final, cool. Messi magic, yes. Apart from that, and I'm saying apart from that, Messi could quite literally single-handedly win it. But as we saw in the last World Cup, Argentina-Netherlands game went to a penalty shootout where Netherlands managed to find a way to, make that level. I think England could reach a final. I would be disappointed if they didn't reach a semi-final. Put it that way.
Can I say something, please?
Same.
Very briefly, but yes, go ahead. You can both have a response. Go ahead.
This idea that it's with Argentina just Messi and things, they've got man like Julian Alvarez, right?
No, I want to be clear. I'm not saying it's just. I'm saying that was the first determinant.
Okay.
It's a massive differentiator.
It's a massive differentiator. Just like if they play Haaland in a quarterfinal, of course. But that's what I meant.
But I'm just saying. The point I just mentioned is Argentina got quality in all areas.
Oh yeah. They're not there by. It's not just a one-man show.
They've also got Romero, who I think Kane can take.
You see Lo Celso's goal.
Lo Celso scored. Yeah. They've got quality throughout the pitch as well.
Bare Tottenham rejects. and your guy Alexis McAllister.
And McAllister. Oh my goodness. So we shall see how far England progress. For those of you listening, and watching as well, that last 32 games. See, I'm already thinking about semi-finals. That last 32 game against the DRC is on Wednesday, and it's a 5 p.m. kickoff. So you might want to either start an hour earlier, take your lunch break at 4 o'clock, work from home. Have a think of how you're going to tackle that game. Jen, how are you going to catch the 5 p.m. kickoff? Hopefully your managers are listening. I don't know. Or anyone that can get you in trouble.
I mean, well, right now I'm in the research phase of.
Oh, okay. Oh, you'll be watching the pre-game. You'll be.
It's my job to manage my own time. As long as I deliver at the beginning of September, my manager. So that's fine. So I will probably. I've got a little crew. We might go to the sports bar. If not, I'll watch it at home.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Depend if it's like 30. Depending on the weather. Like if it's been like what it's been like the last couple of days, last week or so, I'm staying at home. But if it's like 25 and below, I'll go outside.
Mr. Drew, what's your plan of action for Wednesday afternoon?
I've told my line manager while going. Basically, I'm going to be starting a bit earlier, and after 4, I will not be contactable. I need to make my way home, and even if someone does try to contact me, I will not be in a productive state because I'm looking forward to that game so much, as I do with every England game. The issue is, like, I don't know if you guys do this, but I try and plot ahead to later rounds.
Yeah, I've already.
I've got Saturday plans with the missus, and that's a bit techie. And then after that, it's like, you don't know where you're going to be, what time, and that's the one thing I can't stand with this whole World Cup. The timings are really throwing me off. But
evenings and nights.
I'm sorted. I'm sorted for Wednesday anyway.
But do you ever get the thing where, like, when people ask you, like something do you want to have something next Thursday? You don't want to say, football, because you don't want to know whatever. But I'll get back to you. I might have and I look, see that's what I'm doing at the moment. I mean, my sister.
No double S because I'm a professional.
My siblings know not to bother me during this month, but other people are not so clued up, you know.
If I said anything else, it would be a career-limiting move. So I'm not going to.
It's also having to justify why. It's having to justify why Ivory Coast, Norway is a must-see at 6 p.m. on Tuesday. They're like, what? You're not from either of those countries.
Yeah.
Yeah. My great aunt.
Brilliant.
was in the
Yeah.
was a Viking.
Yes, exactly. Well, that brings us nearly to the end of the pod. We've had a deep dive into the group stages and also into the World Cup brackets, which I think will cover the round of 32 and the round of 16. And before we touch on some very brief Liverpool headlines, because actually there's not much has been happening, unless I'm mistaken. My question to both of my guests today is, having seen now the group stages and looking at how it's going to all plot out, if you're a FIFA president for one day, and the rules you make and change will be in full effect for the next World Cup, what one thing, or I might permit you two small things, would you change ahead of the next World Cup? And I'll start with you, Mr. Drew.
This is easy for me. And I don't know if you've covered this last time. I can't remember. But this flipping 3-minute break. Am I allowed to talk about that?
You can. We bring that up again. Yeah, it really is. Yeah.
Look, the worst part of it, right, is it's not just the 3 minutes; it's the application of it. So
yeah.
I can't remember which game I was watching where the break was due in like a minute's time.
Yeah.
But there was a stop in play.
Yeah.
And the ref had the opportunity to just bring the break forward, so there wasn't too immediate disruptions. And instead, he played for another 2 minutes. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? And then worse than that is when they stop it, right? They always play this really cheesy, ear-raking music selection, so it makes it feel like it's not football that you're watching. It almost gives it that friendly feel. I've got no issue with the concept of you having a break for people to rehydrate, as long as it's needed. So this idea that it's never for money, and we need to have it every time. You don't need to have it every time, because you see some of the climates that are played in, or the context.
Some of them are indoor stadiums.
Yeah, exactly. It's just not required at all. So it's literally just turned it into a different sport, and hate that so much.
Yeah. So hydration breaks would be out under your presidency. JSS, what rule would you change?
Not so much a rule, but more a structure change, if that's okay. I think I touched on it earlier. How World Cup places are allocated, more equitable and more in line with the composition of the world, if it's going to be a World Cup.
Yeah,
makes sense.
Makes sense. Yeah, I fully agree with that. I think make it a bit more evenly distributed. Europe, you're gonna have to cut a few. South America, you're definitely cutting a few. But we'll actually make it the world's World Cup. So Thank you for that, gents. And well, if I were to change one rule, I would make sure that the times of the kickoffs are closer to each other. So I would have, during the group stages, the kickoff times essentially are 3 hours apart, so that once the games, you've got an hour between the games. We've had a few where there's been 3 hours between. Then we've had some where the first game is yesterday. The first game was 10 p.m. I would have it 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, or I'd shift them. But there'd be in 3 hour shifts. Maybe not 12 o'clock because you don't want it in the hottest. But I would have them 3 hour shifts. Everyone knows where they are. You can plan around it. Everyone knows the exact times, and you don't have these long gaps, because it's really difficult to stay up for a 4 a.m. kickoff if the game before is finished at 2 o'clock. Whereas I can just about firm it if it's a 3 o'clock. I know I can make a 3 o'clock kickoff.
Yeah, but
I can.
But you're thinking about it as GMT. What about if you're based somewhere else in the world?
No. I was saying local time: 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, or 3, 6, 9 o'clock. So local time. Yeah. No. My issue isn't that. Oh, it's a 3 a.m. kickoff. My issue is the game before finished 3 hours.
Okay, I'm with you.
Yeah. So no, it's about local time. Yeah.
I was gonna say, dude, he's playing. Oh, yeah.
No, I've not prescribed to the people complaining about middle of the night. No, it's the game should be local time.
Exactly.
It should be a decent local time.
So you want it more like the Prem, as in terms of how we stagger it. Yeah, makes sense.
I agree 100%.
6 p.m., 9 p.m.
Yeah.
Go with that. Brilliant. And before we head off, this is the LFC agenda. Please make sure you like, subscribe, share, comments on the YouTube page, give us 5-star reviews, and we'll touch on some very brief Liverpool news. We've mentioned him, Yan Diomande. No progress as I've heard, but Leipzig are going to drag their feet, and I think JWS, we got up to, was it 113 million rejected, something like that?
Yeah, 113 euros.
Euros, yeah, in euros, yes, yeah. Which is, and The problem is every game is going to keep going up, so we almost have to there's going to reach a point you're going to have to pull the bullet at some point and make that choice and say, actually, right, we'll pay it now because he's going to have another 3 successful dribbles, create some shots, got an assist in the last game. So we might be.
I think once Cote d'Ivoire get knocked out, once their tournament ends.
Oh, there we go.
once their tournament ends, I think then obviously that's when RB will stop being silly, and they're going to have to kind of just come to the table. I think that.
Well, they could get more silly, John, if he gets to the final. Yeah, I mean, at that point, you could be paying stupid money for Nicolas Pepe to come back to the Premier League. Let's be honest.
Can you imagine?
There we go. And Liverpool announced 2 new additions to Andoni Iraola's backroom staff. Tommy Elphick, he used to play in the Premier League, didn't he, Tommy Elphick? I think he did. The name rings a bell. And Sean Cooper as well, both new coaches. Drew, your thoughts on the new additions to the Liverpool backroom staff?
There are many things that I get excited about in life, and this is not even in the top 100. I was pining.
This was your idea to talk about.
Exactly, so I can stick the boot in. So I was desperate to hear Milner or Thiago announced. Not just because they're former players and we all like them, but also because they've got some credit in the bank. They've done things, they've been in situations, come out of them, had big failures, big wins, and have high standards. I just don't think you should be going to season with zero gravitas on the bench. I thought it might be balanced out. Iraola's not done anything in his career, so could we have some people that have? Maybe it doesn't even matter, but it's just a feeling I've got. I don't like it.
Fair enough. Well, he's grabbed them from Bournemouth, so they were with him at Bournemouth. And Tommy Elphick used to play for Bournemouth and was their captain when they came up to the Premier League. So I knew I remembered the name. But they've been on the coaching staff at Bournemouth for a couple of years, but obviously, especially under Iraola the last couple of years. And also, Tommy Elphick, he did reject a job in May 2026. So he rejected the chance to become manager at Bristol City. John, he could have been down your way. Could have gone to see some Elphick football.
And instead we've got, what's the name? Roy Hodgson.
Roy Hodgson that came in, didn't he? Exactly, yeah. So I think they were lining him up to replace him.
Missed a chance for Elphick ball.
There you go.
Elphick ball.
What is that even?
What even is it? There you go. But yes, apart from that, gents, am I missing anything Liverpool news-wise? I think that's...
Not
go ahead.
You're missing something else, though. Bogdanovic comments.
Oh yes, Let's briefly touch on that because I also don't want to add. You don't want to give some of the comments too much noise. But do you want to briefly talk about Bogdanovic's comments and summarize the reaction for that?
Talking about African players, they lose concentration after 60 minutes and stuff like that. Yeah. Then there was Gattuso's comment saying obviously after they failed to reach their 3rd successive World Cup. Somehow it's because Africans got too much places. Then you got Bastian Schweinsteiger making his comments about what they're a bit wild and that kind of stuff. You've got what's the name? Klopp, his non-response, which is also. I was thinking about it, and I don't. Surely he can say what he wants, right? He doesn't have to respond. He's a free man in that regard, but. When it's something like he quite often kind of wades into political debates. Like it was very, very close to Brexit. I remember just Liverpool. He talked about the class divide, rich versus poor. He talked about all these kind of things, right? He's even talked about Palestine, Israel, those kind of things. So, and I'm thinking that why are we not talking about this? Then I thought, okay, maybe Bastian Schweinsteiger. He's that German football royalty. He probably has a relationship with him. Protecting his mate, blah 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 blah. But I think the wider issue is not even his response. I just think that the world of football just accepted it. Just like it's not really. It caused a bit of a furore for a couple of hours on the internet. But beyond that, it's just it's just accepted.
The Schweinsteiger one you're talking about.
the Schweinsteiger one, and I think also, and if you remember, up until like 4 years ago, every FIFA competition will always be say no to racism, no to racismo, all that kind of stuff. They've got rid of it now. It's like as if to say, and that's not been lost on.
We solved it.
Pardon? Oh yeah, we've solved it. Yeah,
that's almost as if to say we've solved it. No more racism.
Yeah, you know what I mean. So it's crazy, but we are where we are. So that's kind of
yes, yeah.
my view.
No, it is an important topic. Mr. Drew, what are your thoughts on these ignorant comments that come out? And thankfully, Africa's doing it. We're doing it on the pitch, 9 out of 10 going through. And I'm so sorry, 80% of France's team is made up of Africans. The England team is more than half of them are Africans. Even Switzerland have about a dozen players of African of
Germany
African
too.
Descent. Germany do, Belgium do as well. So like it's 2026. Surely we've moved beyond this, right?
So with Schweinsteiger, I think he's talking more about the framework within which the players operate, right? I think what he's hinting at, is around more tactical stuff. And if he's not, and if he's talking more wide than that, then by the way, African football being wild. Did we see the AFCON final? I mean,
right, we didn't help ourselves.
That wasn't helpful. Look, the irony was with the Schweinsteiger comments, which I don't think are racist. I think are coming from more of an ignorant place, whereas Bogdanovic comments are clear and utter racist bile. The ironic thing with the Schweinsteiger one is that Klopp was actively trying to avoid responding to the question, so he avoided headlines and then found himself in the headlines. So he could have actually batted it away in a way, and he's used to it, right? He's very, very media savvy. He could have easily managed that better than he did, but it's not a crime, right? Not responding to something. So I wasn't like mortally offended by what he said. And the truth is, if you analyze what he said, you could interpret it in different ways. There's no room for different interpretation of Rade, what's his name? Rade Bogdanovic saying black players lack concentration beyond 60 to 80 minutes. That's just outrageous.
You're going down eugenics and all this other stuff and critical race theory and all this. You're going in a whole different realm of
mate. Next is gonna be arguing for experimentation on. Look, is just like he shouldn't be doing that. But the fact he's comfortable to do it and come out on TV and do it says a lot about him and maybe the environment within which he operates. So yeah, disappointing on both scores.
Absolutely. Well, that brings us to the end of, I think that was quite an epic episode, actually. We did a real deep dive into the World Cup, touched on a bit of Liverpool news. So again, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, give us a 5-star rating. We don't have Jez to give the 5-star rating, but we can all give a commemorative 5-star. There we go. There you go. The jazz hands as well.
You gone for 10. We'll take it.
We'll go for 10. We'll absolutely take that. But yeah, please stay tuned to the LFC agenda. You'll next hear from us. I think we'll do a quarter-final and semi-final preview. So we've got 32 teams left. Let's cull half of them. So the next 2 rounds, we've got the last round of 32, as well as the round of 16 pretty much straight after. So again, we're back into a festival of football. Thankfully, there are no days without football yet. So fingers crossed. But I think the next one, which is the 8th of July, is probably when you'll next hear from us. But we'll be previewing the quarterfinals and semi-finals. Either way, we'll have a lot to discuss about how England have done. Either it's all crashed and burned, or, oh, okay, they look quite good, actually. You never know. But we'll be talking that. And hopefully, Yan Diamande's price has not gone through the roof. And we'll either be talking about finalising the signing or moving on to someone else, because you never know Liverpool and our targets. So do stay tuned. Make sure you're subscribed. And we'll see you next time on the LFC Agenda. You'll never walk alone.